What's up, Drop Pod listeners? As always, you can listen to the Drop Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Pods. We're now on Amazon Music, Audible, and Pandora as well. New episodes drop every Wednesday. You can also find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff, follow and listen along.
This episode is brought to you by the Law Office of Mallon and Tranger. Tom Mallon and Randy Tranger are board-certified trial attorneys who share more than 40 years of legal experience. They specialize in personal injury matters, workers' compensation cases, and criminal and municipal offense. As certified trial attorneys, they have recovered millions of dollars on behalf of people injured in accidents and employees injured at work. They have offices conveniently located in Freehold and Point Pleasant. For skilled and personalized legal representation, call Mallon and Tranger at 732-780-0230 or check out their website at tmallonlaw.com. Not only are they good people, they're good golfers too. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Porro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's going on, everyone? Another big week. Hope everyone had another great week. As hot summer just continues to roll through, hot or rainy, I guess we should say, seems to be our weather patterns. But we got a big episode this week. Mike and I had the fortunate opportunity to go up to Crystal Springs and stay at the resort, play the resort. So we're gonna kind of talk about that. We're gonna touch upon Jack Wall, my pick for the New Jersey Amateur winning at Manasquan. And we got the U.S. Open coming up, as well as the New Jersey Open. So we got a couple topics we're going to throw at you. So
The British Open. The United States Open happened, but it's cool. We can backtrack a little bit there.
Okay, the British Open. I will. It seems like we just finished the U.S. Open.
We did. They're jam-packed.
Well, we'll get into it. So we're going to jump right into it now. But before we do, we want to remind you guys that our polos are in stock. FlukeApparelCo.com. Go check them out. They are the material is amazing. As we said last week, they are. If you're a little bit on the bigger side, you're going to want to size up. If you're more like me, you want to size up. If you're like Mike, you don't necessarily need to. But they're awesome. The material is soft. It is it's movable, so like you don't feel like it's catching in any part of your golf swing. It looks amazing, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say. I mean, the fact of the matter is, when we were up at Crystal Springs, I wore mine every day we were up there. Had a different one on, and I can't lie, the texts and the DMs that I've been getting from different listeners that have purchased one, that are wearing them. Listen, send them our way. We'll share them. We love seeing you guys rocking them, wearing them. And we, again, as always, can't thank you guys enough for supporting us in the podcast.
So, yeah, go check out FlukeApparelCo.com. Again, go pick up our polos. They look phenomenal. They are phenomenal. And there we go. Mike, I think both of us were right in our New Jersey Amateur predictions. You had the number right. I thought it was going to be 6 under or better. What did Jack end up at? 5? 3? I guess you don't count the playoff holes. But either way, you were right in that. But I had Jack winning, which he did in tremendous fashion. I mean, if we backtrack to his last couple shots, it's an aggregate 3-hole playoff to where he goes par, and his opponent wasn't really in contention during the playoff, blew up a little bit, but still takes out driver on 18 is really what we got to get at. Just says, I'm going to mash this, and I'm going to be up on the green. I'm not worried about where this is going. I know that this is the best play. And he drives the green. It just goes to Jack's, I think, his personality. He's got the swagger for it. He's got the confidence for it. He has the championship pedigree. Like, you look at him and he's just, like, you look at him, you talk to him, he's just got the it factor when it comes to golf, and he really, I think that exemplified his week. That he was just like, I'm going to be solid all 4 rounds, and you're going to have to be solid as well for 4 straight rounds because I'm not going to mess up. I'm not going to have any mistakes. And he doesn't. I mean, of course he gets like a bogey here or there, but like, who did he shoot? 71. Did he shoot around 69, I think? Like he just never did anything. He was solid all week. Never did anything to hurt his chances.
Listen, he didn't shoot over par in any of his 4 rounds. He shot 72, 71, 72, 70. So when you're talking about just like rock solid, like he never went over par, was rock solid. And listen, to Jack Simon's credit, who he battled in the playoff, like, Jack had played extremely well. I mean, listen, he shot a 74 in the final round, which you may say like, oh, he kind of like crapped the bed coming in. But nonetheless, if you look at that final round, like Jack Simon needed to make a birdie coming down the stretch to tie Jack Wall to get into a playoff, and Jack Simon stiffs it on 17, makes the birdie putt. They get into a playoff, and obviously once they got to the playoff, Jack Simon drove the ball into 2 terrible spots, one on 16 and one on 17, which has really opened up the door for Jack Wall just to kind of like walk through that door relatively easily on the playoff. But I think that was one of the things that we talked about at length a few weeks ago, was just how the golf course I thought was going to be the winner at the end of the day. And it just so happened that 2 of the top 3 finishers were local guys with local knowledge and just so happened to be brothers.
Yeah, you said it last week that it's going to be or 2 weeks ago, whatever, you need to know that local knowledge. And when I was out there on Monday, that was a point that some of those guys made, that like they didn't necessarily, had they played it a few more times or had they had more local knowledge, they would have played better. But it just goes to show that, like, yes, Jerry and Jack are phenomenal golfers, but also at Manasquan River, that local knowledge is just as important as ability.
Yeah, and I think more than anything, I think that just showed it more so, and I think, and the other thing, one thing I know that we touched on a few weeks ago about that tournament specifically in the preview of it, was it wasn't a bomber's golf course. You really didn't need to drive the ball 350 yards, which a lot of these guys do these days, and it was like, if you can, pick and prod your way around there, if you can think more, if you can strategize more, that's going to benefit you more, which is why the course knowledge just played such an integral part in why probably Jack was victorious, and no offense, probably why Jerry finished solo 3rd. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to think those things ultimately matter, and more so at a place like that where you just can't grip and rip it, But it was nice. Listen, I also want to point out that, like, if you saw what Jack was wearing in the 3rd round of the championship, it was the Drop Pod Polo. And I can't thank Jack enough for wearing that to not only support us, to support Fluke Apparel Company, but just to speak about how good the gear actually is. It's not just you and I pushing something because it has our logo on it. Like, you see that it's out there. People are wearing it. And when the guy that just wins the NJSGA Amateur Championship is wearing it in the 3rd round at his home club, I think that carries some weight. It
does. Again, I started off with, like, it feels good, it looks good, like the material is great. This is a guy who's going out and winning a tournament, who's wearing it. Obviously, he's not just going to wear something that, like, doesn't feel good or doesn't, like, it impedes his swing or whatever the case is. Like, it's good stuff. And as you said, thank you to Jack for supporting us. Thank you to Fluke Apparel for making that happen too. So it was really cool to see him rocking our stuff. So now we got to get Jack on, talk about the championship.
Equity 3 Real Estate is a full-service commercial real estate brokerage, management, and development company based out of Paramus, New Jersey. Equity 3 Real Estate focuses heavily in northern New Jersey. They cover industrial, multifamily, office, retail, and vacant land properties, as well as specializing in medical offices. They manage over 400,000 square feet of varying property types for passive investors. Their clients range from small to mid-range building owners and larger brokerages. So if you're looking for the right team to help you win, go check them out at www.equity3re.com or give them a call at 201-261-4300. That's 201-261-4300. You won't be disappointed.
Mike, let's stay in New Jersey and get into the New Jersey Open, which begins on July 24th. So that's Monday. This is coming out Wednesday, so you got a couple days, but we're not going to be able to preview it before. So let's talk about it now. Mike, can you give us any background on the process to get into the tournament?
Well, yeah, so like all the NJSGA
just because
events,
this is what you got into last year, right? This is at the Ridge at
Correct.
Backbrook. This is what you played in last year. So last year you qualified for it. You got into it. You had your practice round. You went through the whole thing. And I know, unfortunately, you weren't able to do any of that this year, just how the schedule works. But give us that insight. That's great insight that we can talk about.
Yeah, I mean, the NJSGA does a phenomenal job. They put together, probably anywhere between 3 to 5 qualifying events that if you're not already, if you haven't already got in because of some sort of exemption, that you go and try to qualify. And like anything, I think we all can attest to how hard it is at qualifiers because it's legit one round. And if you have one bad hole, sometimes within that one round, you don't get in. But if you get in based upon how many people are in the field at that event, whether it's top 5 in ties, top 7 in ties, then you eventually get to move on to the championship. Now, one thing I do want to point out that I did have a listener ask me, well, can I try to qualify at all of them? No, you only get one chance to qualify at one of the qualifiers, so you'd have to pick one that suits your schedule or the golf course that you're looking for. So you wouldn't get 5 tries if there's 5 different qualifiers. And then if you get in...
It's a good question.
Yeah, no, it's a valid question. Yeah, 100%. And then if you get in, then you're guaranteed 2 rounds. Now, the difference between the Open and the amateurs is the Open has obviously local pros, head golf professionals, directors of instruction, assistant golf professionals, all playing in the event alongside amateurs, while also it's only 54 holes, whereas the State Am is 72. The State Open's only 54. Now, just like the State Am, after Tuesday's round, there will be a cut. And again, if my understanding is correct, it's top 40 in ties would move on to that final round. So it is a little different in terms of the length of the tournament, but it's also a much deeper field with how many quality directors of instruction, pros, so on and so forth that are participating in the event. So just getting in is a huge accomplishment, and then making the cut is a whole nother world.
Again, that was a good question that someone had. Why can't I qualify multiple times? Do you know how many, you see some of the club pros here on the list that I'm looking at. Do they have to qualify as well, or is stuff that they do throughout the year automatically qualify specifically someone like a club pro to get into something like this?
Some of them have to go through. Listen, they have their own exemptions from their section, where if they finish this or that, they automatically get in. If they win certain events, they automatically get in. But if they are outside their exemption list, they're just like you and I. They'd have to go sign up at a qualifier and go get in.
Okay. I'm seeing our guy Brian Gaffney is in, and I'm just looking at him as someone who, he's going and qualifying for the PGA, the national championship, PGA champion. So does stuff that he does automatically qualify him? But it sounds like there's a whole bunch of different qualifications.
The exemption list for the pros is much different than what it is for the amateurs.
Gotcha.
So yes, I think the idea within the Open Championship is to have more pros because there's a purse.
Yeah.
So if last year, this year's the defending champion Lewis Kelly's not participating this year. Okay, so it's open to obviously a brand new champion this year. But just like when Lewis Kelly beat Jason Gore last year in the playoff, he won X amount of money because there is a purse.
And how does it work if you're an amateur and you win? So say Pat Wilson goes out there and wins, or Jack Wall goes out there and wins. How they come in first, and say, let's stay Manasquan. Let's say Jack beats Chris. Chris comes in second. Does that prize money go to him, or does it get dissolved? Is that how that works?
Yeah, so basically Jack would win the tournament or the championship, and he would be exempt for probably X amount of years because he's the past champion.
Okay.
But when it comes to the money or the purse, Chris would win first place money.
Okay.
Because he was the first pro that finished atop the leaderboard.
And does that, how many places get money, or is it like a winner take all kind of thing?
No, it's not winner take all. I'm pretty sure it's leveled out to something. But in terms of like what the actual purse is and how that's divvied up, that I don't know.
Okay.
And again, I guess to some extent I could be wrong there, but I don't. I guess I should backtrack. I don't know for certain. But I guess if you're comparing it to like the PGA Tour, it's not like winner takes all. There is a trickle down effect within that.
For sure. There's obviously we keep seeing the same names. As I'm just scrolling through the list right now, like you see some of the same guys. I mentioned Pat. I mentioned Jack. Michael Stamberger's on here. Troy is on here. But then you see, again, you get into like the pros on here. Obviously, Chris, Brian Mackey at North Jersey.
He's playing with Austin.
He's playing with Austin. I mentioned Brian Gaffney already. So you have these pros mixed in here, and it's interesting to see that dynamic of like, I'm just going to keep using him. Someone like Jack, who is tracking to be a professional golfer. Plays collegiately. He just won the New Jersey Amateur. So he's got that. That's where he wants to be. And these guys who are pro golfers, they're PGA professionals. It's funny that like I would imagine that Jack is playing more golf than they are, than the PGA Tour pros are. He's practicing more golf. So when it comes to something like that, do you think that this is going to be won by a PGA professional or by one of the amateurs in the field?
Well, I think it's a very possible one. I mean, I think when you think about, Mark Costanza won the NJSGA Open in 2020. So to say that like an amateur in the state that we live in can't win the Open Championship would be, I think a crazy statement because, obviously if Mark just did it a few years back, like I get it. Most of the time it's a professional or a club pro winning it. Like I get it. But I mean, evidence is right there in the pudding with Mark doing it a few years back. So, to say like a guy like Jack doesn't have a chance to win the whole thing would be ludicrous. Clearly he's playing good golf. I mean, no offense, Jack Simon's right there too. I mean, another guest we had on a few weeks back. I mean, he's just as much capable of getting the job done. He clearly showed it at Manasquan River, and you got to think home court advantage helped Jack Wall there. So, yeah, I think that's the one thing, the nice thing really about our state is you got amateurs that flat out can play. You got club pros that can flat out play. You got directors of instruction that can flat out play. So, again, like another, we talked about it for the AM. It's another loaded field with a lot of names and a lot of guys that we've had on the show that we're dying to get on the show. So it's another exciting tournament.
I'm wondering, I guess, what do you think then that percentage is at? Do you think it's at 50-50 because we got so many good amateurs? Do you think it's a 60-40? Like, put a number on it for me.
I think it's probably 60-40 that a club pro or director of instruction wins the tournament. Okay. I do. But I don't think those are crazy odds in the sense that it's going to be someone like that. I don't even know what the makeup of the field is, if it is more amateurs compared to, club pros, etc. So that's a tough thing to decide. So I don't know. But I can't say I'd be surprised either which way. It's another loaded field. I'm excited to see what happens. And, the nice thing for us is, hopefully we're able to get up there before the tournament begins. It's just be unfortunate that it's after this episode's airing to give us, a little feedback about the golf course. But nonetheless, it's another exciting, 3 days for the state and the golf.
Do you have a winner?
Of course. I don't know how you can ask me about the tournament and not say that I don't have a winner.
Okay.
I'm not one of those guys that just, I look at the field, I look at the pairings. I will say this. I know we talked at length about, the amateurs, the amateur championship and their pairings, but I will say the one pairing to me that stands out is 1248 off the back tee. You got Jason Gore, PGA Tour guy. You got Jack Wall, and then you got Tyler Hall from Upper Montclair, another place that we visited often. But, that's a loaded pairing.
Yeah.
Loaded pairing. And nonetheless,
and it's funny you say that one, because the one right above it was the one that the 1226 time, so I guess it's two above it?
Two above it. Yeah,
two above it. That whole six-some there with Troy, Jamie Pearson, Brian Doherty off of 1, and then off of 10 with Michael Brown, Danny Lewis, and Grant Sturgeon. That's a loaded time. I don't know which one you want to pick, but
yeah, no doubt. And I think about it. Jason Gore lost in the playoff last year in the state open. You have Jack Wall coming off of the state am victory, and you got Tyler Hall, who's won Player of the Year multiple times. So you got really good golfers here. So it's exciting. That's an exciting threesome that I'll definitely be geared to. But I do have my pick. He's going off the 132 tee time, going off the back 9. The director of instruction from Hamilton Farm Golf Club. I'm going Nick Bova.
Oh, Mike.
And I'll tell you why.
Hold on.
I'll tell you why I'm going Nick Bova. I need to justify it.
Nick was my pick as well.
Oh, give me a break.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is.
Of course, you say that.
We don't talk. No, we don't talk about this before. We keep the podcast authentic. Nick is my pick as well. Nick can golf his golf ball. I think he's playing good golf. I think he's just due for one. I don't know. I have a feeling about Nick this week. So let me hear your reasons. That's funny that you. Oh, that sucks that we got the same guy.
But I wish you had said something to me ahead of time. Don't pick my guy. But when I looked at the names, and I'll tell you why I picked Nick. There's really not only it's hard to say he golfs his golf ball, because I think at the 95% of these guys do that. But I would say the reason why I'm taking Nick over everybody else in the field is because if you date back to the episode when we had Nick on, and we were talking about the upcoming NJSGA events, and we were fortunate to get Nick on way back in the fall and the winter. And he had mentioned that the tournament was here at Hackensack and how much he thoroughly loved the golf course. So I kid you not, that has stood in my mind since when Nick said that way back when, that okay, I'm sure he's gearing up. I'm sure he's grinding away. And I just think after 54 holes, he's going to be the one hosting the trophy at the end.
Yeah, again, tough to argue because it's the same guy I had. Let's do this. Let's see if we could. Let's get who's your amateur. Let's call that our pro. Who's your amateur you think is going to make a run here?
Mark Costanza.
Okay.
I think Mark's pedigree. I think Mark's ability to play in not only local and state stuff, but the Met stuff, and then you want to talk national stuff, and I just think his ability to do that I think kind of separates him. And I would love to have seen him play in the State Am and kind of see what he would have done at Manasquan River, knowing the golf course so well. But I just think Mark is just another guy that is so damn good, especially as an amateur. I just think that if I had to pick who I think is going to be the best finishing amateur, I'm taking Marcus Stanza. Don't tell me you're going to take Mark too.
No.
I was going to say, Jesus Christ.
My guy's going to be Pat. I'm picking Pat Wilson for this week. I think he's playing really good golf. He was, I think he said he played Manasquan only a time before, so he didn't really get to see the course. And we talked about course knowledge there. He still had a good showing at the AM. He's playing really well right now in the USAM qualifier. So I think Pat's playing really well. I think being the pedigree of having experience at like this kind of thing is I think needed. So you go Mark, I'm going Pat.
It's and we big Hamilton Farm connection.
Right,
going
we do.
Now.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, but again, wouldn't be like, would you be shocked if Jack Wall's right there? No. Would you be shocked if Jack Simon's right there? No. And I'll tell you what, the only reason I hesitate on picking Jack Simon to come back and win this is, and I hope this doesn't happen, and I don't want it to happen, but like the reason why I picked Pat is Pat doesn't have like a hangover from the AM. You know, like he didn't play great, but he didn't play poorly either. He didn't lose in like some kind of tough fashion, and I wonder, again, hoping not, but I wonder if Jack Simon has a little bit of a hangover coming off of this, off of that, and so that's my reservation for picking him. So,
yeah, I mean, listen, the one thing I will say about Jack Simon specifically is he has to have a lot of confidence going in, regardless of how the tournament finished, because the way he finished those, that 71st hole to get into the playoff, like, I think speaks to the character that he could have thrown in the tank, made 2 pars coming in and missed the playoff by 1. Like, I think a guy like that might even be a little more motivated. It's up there in North Jersey. That's his neck of the woods. He's not hiking down with the drive every day.
And that's why I picked Pat as well. I don't think Pat's sleeping in his own bed. He's staying nearby. Like, he's not staying in a hotel or someone else's house and worrying about that kind of stuff. But yeah, I hope Jack Simon doesn't, and he is playing great golf. Again, that's just that's my reservation and my logic for picking Pat over Jack. All right, Mike, before we move into our time at Crystal Springs, let's talk real quick about the British Open, or the Open Championship. I'm glad that you said something, because I had completely forgotten that it jumps on you so quick. Like, we just go from one major to the other. I don't know if this new schedule, to be honest, I don't really like it. I wish it was spread out a little bit more. I feel like we said the same thing with the U.S. Open, that it was just after the PGA, and it just seems like they're kind of on top of each other. But either way, we're right here for the British Open. Rory won this week, the Scottish Open. I don't know if there's any correlation to Scottish Open winners and Open Championship winners, but I do know that field is loaded, because a lot of guys like to go over there and get their bodies used to that time change. So, who do you like?
Well, I got one sleeper, and I got one guy that I like. I do.
Okay.
I think Cam Smith defends his title and wins again. I do. I think the comment he made the other day about, he told his buddies they only have to wait another week to drink out of the cup again, is something that I absolutely love. The confidence saying that makes me like, oh, I love your chances. Love your chances. Because to me, that's like right up my alley in terms of just somebody borderline cocky and getting things done. So I'm picking Cam Smith to win the damn thing again, back to back. And then my sleeper, I'm going Tommy Fleetwood. I think Tommy Fleetwood's playing really good golf. I think Tommy Fleetwood has that like GQ model look to him. Like, I think his cat looks like a bouncer at a nightclub that you don't want to mess with. I just think that Tommy Fleetwood has been playing such good golf over the past 4 or 5 weeks that, like, it's inevitable that a guy like that who's so talented doesn't break through. So without much, debate on my end on who my sleeper and who my pick is, I'm going Tommy Fleetwood, and I got Cam Smith defending his title. Who do you got?
Both their odds are plus 1,500.
And who's the best? Who's got the best odds?
Rory's at plus 525.
Okay.
This is according to CBS Golf. CBS Sports Golf. Rory, 525. Scotty Scheffler, 750. Rahm, 1,200. Ricky, 1,200. And then Tommy Hovland and Cam Smith. Yep.
Cameron Smith has worse betting odds than Ricky Fowler?
Yep.
Terrible.
By $300.
Terrible. I would gladly bet straight up that Cam Smith finishes better than Ricky Fowler. And I know that's your boy.
Ricky Fowler is my boy. I don't like Ricky this week like I did for the U.S. Open. I actually think going over there, I think Jon Rahm's going to go over and
wow, you got him winning 2 majors this year.
Yeah, I think that he's I think
it's
he's poised to be
bold pick.
He's too good. Honestly, I just don't. I'd love to see Rory win it. I just have a tough time picking people that have won back-to-back weeks. I know really it doesn't have one to do with the other, but I don't know. Like it's so hard to win. I think it's tough to pick Rory. Honestly, especially with what he did at the Masters and coming off it, I don't know. I think Jon Rahm's also used to that time zone. Like that's his. I know he's from Spain. It's not. I don't know if it's exactly the same time zone, but from being over there, like a little bit of home field advantage, kind of ish, if you want to say that. And a sneaky one that I like is Xander Schauffele.
Everybody always picks Xander. Everybody picks Xander in every major. The dude never wins.
Right, and how often have I said Xander Schauffele?
I don't know.
Not very often, right?
Not very often.
And I think, right, I don't know. I for whatever reason, I look and I go, this could be his breakthrough week. So, yeah, I like Rahm. I think that I think the putting is going to be a problem for Scotty. Because you need to putt well, and we've talked about, and everybody knows he's not putting well. Yeah, I think Rahm's going to get it through and get it along there well. You know who usually also has a good showing at these that we don't ever talk about? Tiger
Woods. Oh, he's not playing this week?
He's not playing this week?
Oh, sorry.
Shane Lowry, to me, seems like a guy that does well
Shane
with these
Lowry
kind of things.
to me seems like your
if I
dude.
had to go, I would backdoor top 10 for him. Like I think he's going to get a top 10. I fucking love Shane Lowry.
You need to hug Shane Lowry more. He's your guy. Shane Lowry and you guys need to be boys. I know you tried jumping on the Joel Damon bandwagon, and that just never took off. But Shane Lowry and you...
Hold on. Joel Damon is that bandwagon is very good. He's just not a great professional golfer. And I don't even see his, as I keep scrolling.
Is he even in the field?
Shane Lowry's plus 300. Fuck it, I might take Shane Lowry. I might jump off.
Oh, here we go. I convinced you into taking Shane Lowry. So when Shane Lowry doesn't play well, you're going to be like, "You told me to take him."
No, it's funny that who my guys are because just the vibe I put out and they put out.
Yeah, the vibe, the optics.
Nothing would like me more.
He looks like a guy that's just going to go chill and hang out and play good golf, and that's right up your alley.
Joel Damon is not in the field according to this website that I'm currently on.
Yeah, not surprised.
However, David Duval is plus 150,000, and so is John Daly.
Yeah, because they're just past champions is probably why they get in.
Yeah. But I do. It's no joke that I love Shane Lowry. I think he's just to me, he's a guy that plays golf and drinks pints and that's just what he does. Like but he's not like the partier type. He's more like you're going to see him in like a dark bar drinking pints, whereas Joel Damon's going to be playing flip cup and beer pong. I don't see Shane Lowry doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me neither.
But we'll talk more about that next week as that comes up, because that's coming around the corner here. So
next week, this starts Thursday. Tomorrow starts tomorrow.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So we'll recap it for next week. We should try to get out there. I think we should go to both Opens next year. That's our goal.
See you
Let's
there.
try to get someone to sponsor us to get over there.
Yeah, see you there.
Get to those two.
Yep. See you there. You're trying to get me out of Ocean County. Forget about going to a different country.
Right. Well, go big or go home, right?
Let a man dream.
All County Exteriors is a third-generation premier exterior home remodeling company celebrating over 40 years in business. In a remodeling world where the average remodeling company only survives in business for only 5 years, All County Exteriors has stood the test of time, providing their customers with top-quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors. They service homeowners and builders with anything from small repairs to large additions. All County Exteriors is not just limited to construction. They have a deep passion for giving back to their community and are charitable supporters of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, Roofs for Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. If you have planned to do any exterior remodeling, call the experts at All County Exteriors for a free, no-obligation estimate for your project. Just call 732-370-2780 or email them at info@allcountyonline.com. That's 732-370-2780 for All County Exteriors for all your remodeling needs.
All right, Mike. Let's get into Crystal Springs. So I think let's do this. Let's have you give a background, but before you get to the background, let me introduce what we just did. We were fortunate enough to go up to Crystal Springs. We had 2 nights there. We had a bunch of rounds of golf. We had a lesson at the Ledbetter Academy. We kind of did like a little North Jersey golf swing of sorts, and it was tremendous. We were so lucky to have Crystal Springs, be so accommodating and want to have us on, or want us to come there and talk about the course. So Mike, why don't you? You're more on the forefront of how this came about. So why don't you lead into it, and then we'll just kind of break it down from the golf to the hotel to the resort to the courses. So why don't you start with where it started from?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess just like anything, when you connect with different people on social media, I was fortunate to connect with the operations and marketing manager up at the Ledbetter Academy there at Black Bear, which is part of the Crystal Springs Resort Golf Clubs. And Brian and I had gone back and forth for, no lie, probably a good 4 months, maybe even 5 months, trying to put together a little trip for us to go up there to experience the golf courses, to experience the resort. And then we finally found a 3-day, 2-night stay or date that worked for you and I to get up there, and it worked for Brian. So we went up there. We went straight to the Ledbetter Academy, right there at Black Bear in the back of the range. We met Brian finally in person, because everything and all the conversations that him and I had were straight through either text messaging or through DMs. So it was unbelievable to meet him in person. And then he got us connected with Tom Reynolds, the head golf professional, or the teaching pro there, that sat down and gave us a good 60 to 90 minute lesson about everything. I mean, God, he broke it down for us in our swing. He broke it down in the putting. And then they're even kind enough to have a photographer out there to take pictures of the whole afternoon. So that day itself was unbelievable. But I think this is one of the things that you and I talk about is connecting with people, interacting with people, getting to know who they are, and getting them to understand what our goal and our mission here is to just, showcase and bring light to all things golf in the Garden State. And I know for someone like me, it may be 2 hours and 45 minutes away from home, but when you get extended invitations like this for over a 3-day, 2-night stay, and it's like, let's go do it. Let's go experience it, because that's what we're trying to get done here. And I think just being up there, it was just like unbelievable. But I guess if we could start talking a little bit about the lesson. I mean, what did you think with Tom and when we arrived?
So, yeah, it really was incredible. Starting at the lesson, Tom was able to do so much between the two of us in what I felt like was a short amount of time. I don't think it was an hour and a half. I think it was a little over an hour. And the way he bounced back and forth between the two of us, he's like, all right, just grab a club and start swinging. And then he took some pictures, or I guess it was taking little movies of us. And we talked about how quickly he was able to diagnose things in our swings. I didn't overhear what you two guys were talking about, but when he came over to me and he saw me hit one shot, and it had my little fade in it, and he's like, "Your problem is you tend to slice it or block fade it," and I was like, "Yeah, when I get in trouble, that's what I do." And he's like, "Okay," and that was after one swing. And he's like, "Okay, let me see you hit a couple more." So I hit a couple more. On one of them, he took video of it, and then we went inside. He breaks down the stuff for us, and he's like, "This is what you do. This is why you do it. This is seeing it." Then we went back out. We both did some drills to adjust that, and again, super quick that he was able to diagnose our issues with it. He had you doing one-handed drills. I saw your left hand was on your chest and you were swinging with your right hand. I'm trying to hit, we've changed my grip, so I have a super strong, now it's according to him, now it's normal, it's neutral, but for me it feels like it's the strongest grip. I don't know if I could turn my wrist over anymore. And we worked on hitting punch shots to kind of get the feeling of it, and then we did that, and then took some full swings, and then went back. He took some video. We went back into the lab, and he did some comparison stuff, and you saw it, Mike, how my hands are so whippy at the bottom to try to make up flipping.
Big time.
How, and the difference between the first time and the second time was astronomical. And it really was sometimes it's tough to see intricate changes in the golf swing, but that was not an intricate change. That was a huge, huge difference. He did call me an athlete. He said that because I'm an athlete, I'm able to get my hands to be fixed. So
sure
I'd like that to
correctly?
be pointed out. Hold on, we have video evidence of him saying it. So
Please provide that.
Ryan, you were working hard on your sequence, right? Right. So you, Ryan, had a wee bit of a weak grip. So we got a lot of toe hang up here on the top, really long backswing. You have an excellent sense of rhythm and balance, okay? Now the problem is from here, with that open face, the athlete in you essentially reacts to that in maybe the opposite way of Mike.
That's big. To see it though, I can feel it, but then to see it is a different thing. And I know you could feel it too. You were doing those one-handed swings, and then he had you doing some other stuff, and you could see it too with you've always said you can never hit a cut. You never can. And then trying to put that, what did he say for you? It's not going to be the end all, but having that in your repertoire, in your toolbox. again, it was just really cool. The time it took him to diagnose was almost no time at all. The fixes were really pretty simple. It's just a matter of practice, but they were rather simple, to be quite honest with you.
I thought the one thing I thought was really neat about what Tom had done was, like, you and I are two different golfers, different levels, and being able to diagnose both of us after just a few swings, after a little bit of conversation, I think speaks to the expertise that he has too.
Absolutely, no doubt.
It's easy at times to look at a better golfer and just be like, all right, you're good, nothing to do. But like, I can't cut the ball. I still can't cut the ball. I probably won't practice enough to even learn how to cut the ball. But he gave me a few drills that if like I sat there and had the time to go practice, I'd be able to, like most good golfers that we've talked about on this episode within the State Am and the State Open, that like if they have a 130-yard shot and that pin is tucked front right, like a guy like me is conceding 30 feet left because I can't cut in there. Where these guys are taking a little baby fade and cutting it at that pin and they have 5-footers for birdie. And I think him being able to diagnose that for someone on my level and then quickly just going next door to you and looking at yours and being able to fix things, like having your hands become, I guess, non-flippy in a sense, and a more forward and being able to just drive more so with the left side just by simply turning your hands over. I think that speaks to how good Tom is at his craft. Yeah. And, obviously, if anybody is in that Crystal Springs Resort area, or you live up there, or you need lessons by somebody, like the fact that he was able to take the two of us, dissect things, fix things, give us a few pointers, like, God, it's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. It was like, I don't know if I have the words to describe how amazing it was that he took. Again, it was like a quick conversation, and he saw something, and he's like, this is it. And just, boom, done. And it was just like, this is what we're doing to fix it. The Rolodex of stuff that he must have in his mind of, like, drills to fix things. He just, like a drop-down menu. He clicks on, like fades to flippy to, and here we go. Here's all these drills. And he just, like, he's just got them. Yeah, it was so impressive. He was really, all business up there. This is what we're going to do. I mean, not like he was some kind of robot or anything like that, but like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're here to work, and this is what we're going to work on. This is how you're going to do it. And it was impressive. So if you're up in that area, or if you're doing a weekend at Crystal Springs, or you like want a great pro to go to, or a great teaching pro to go to, go see Tom. He was awesome. They got all the tools. They got all the, I mean, how many pool noodles were there?
Oh my God. Yeah. His repertoire of stuff is incredible.
Right. I mean, they had like 3 or 4 golf bags out on the range that are like teaching tools with like different stuff in it. So yeah, he had all those things. And then we move over to the putter, and he's talking to us, like, again, quickly about our putting. And he like goes into this bag, he gives me 3 balls, and he gives you 3 balls, and he's like, these 3 are specifically for you. Like, you had the black and white balls, and you had to roll them, and you worked on your hand placement and and rolling it. And for me, it was more about like, I know, like, for short putts, I don't want to come up short anymore, and it's just getting over the mental side of that. And we talked about that, and it was just like, just doing drills like, hey, just knock it in. Just have it hit the back of the cup. And just hammering away at, like, this is a straight putt. It's 5 feet. I must have hit 40 of them, 50 of them. And, it's just getting over that, like, mental hump for me there. Then we went on to lag putting, and again, talked about like what we're trying to do, how we're trying to do it, what are our hands doing, and just like how he can break down the smallest parts was so impressive. And spend, again, all this time with us, where it was really just, I don't think it was an hour and a half. I felt like it was just over an hour. And then we go back in, and he kind of breaks it down for us one last time, and Yeah, it was really, really impressive. He was awesome.
Yeah,
So-
and the other thing I do like is, one thing is I felt like he, especially reiterated to me often, is like kind of like practicing with a purpose too. Like always having the alignment sticks there to ensure that like your setup is proper. Because I think that's probably something, especially for someone like me that mishits a ton of putts. He had that alignment stick out all the time. And anytime I put down the golf ball just randomly on the putting green, he would realign it to make sure that I got to see what the ball actually looked like if it rolled on top of itself, which, you know, listen, I take for granted. Sometimes I'm just out there, I'm just going to roll it, and however I hit it. But he did constantly reiterate that to me. Is like, let's make sure we line it up the right way. Let's get set up the right way. And it's important because I think that's what probably it takes to get to the next level. I'll just stick around doing what I guess I do.
Yeah, it's so tough to get I mean, that's everything, right? Like you can get it, and then it's like, do you have the time to practice, or you put in the time to practice? And as I found out at Black Bear afterwards, it takes time to do any kind of practice there.
So let's get into Black Bear a little bit. You know, like obviously for someone like me who doesn't play a ton of mountainous golf, I think some of the views and the looks on that golf course were amazing. I did think the greens were in phenomenal shape for a public golf course. I know the guys that we talked to, you know, like the bag drop guys mentioned that it was going to be like 4.5 hours. I felt like we played in less time than that. We really didn't wait on many holes. Like we moved, and it was just the two of us. So it wasn't like it was like, you know, we played through one group on 11, and after that it was basically smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing, yeah. And then even so, I didn't feel like we were moving slowly, but there was even a group that jumped in front of us at one point. Like they must have been really cooking. So yeah, I didn't think so. I thought it was a comfortable pace. The layout's a little strange. Like you think you should be going to like the hole next to you, but you kind of takes you somewhere else. You're totally right with the not ever playing mountain courses. You know, we've talked about the Ridge at Backbrook is like our mountainous course that we've played. But like those views are spectacular. The undulations on the difference between like the tee box and the green on a bunch of those was amazing. Beautiful like vistas and that sort of thing. It was spectacular. Great view. The only thing that was like quote unquote negative would be like the layout was a little quirky, but like the signs are great there. He said it 100 times there that like the signage of where you need to be was always, you know, you never got lost. Just follow the signs.
Yeah, and I know we spoke about this at length on the golf course specifically, but the back nine was way better than the front. Way better in terms of like the ups, the downs, the looks, the pictures. And I think the audience will see that when we start putting out like our Ryan and Mike verses on those holes specifically. Like you can see like, wow, that is a really cool looking hole, because at times you look like you're hitting the ball directly into a mountain. Like you're just hitting the ball into a mountain, but it's clearly way in a distance. Yeah. And just the visual, the optics, it was like, wow, that is really, really cool.
Right, like we said, those tee shots on 10 was really cool. That was really so cool. Yeah.
Even my tee shot on 12, like the tee shot going down that hill on 12, it was narrow down there. Like that was really cool. And then you forget about
the approach on 13. Like, we talked about how hilly that was, how uphill that was. It was amazing.
Yeah, that is and I know that's not one of the ones I feel like that's spoken about a lot in the Crystal Springs, you know, in their little like circle of golf courses. I know a lot of the attention gets thrown to Ballyowen and Crystal Springs and Wild Turkey and things like that, but like, don't sleep on Black Bear, dude. Don't act like it's like a second-class citizen, because it's not a bad track whatsoever.
So, Mike, I was comparing it and talking with somebody on the ride home. I compared it to Shark River. Like, it doesn't get any of the... It gets no love in the county courses, but it's a good course. There's nothing wrong with it.
I think it's better than Shark River.
Oh, no. I'm just saying that, like, the comparison of, like, everybody talks about Hominy and Charleston and Howell, and nobody really talks about Shark, when, like, you could go play Shark and you're getting challenged and you're getting, like, it's a good course.
You're saying within that little circle of courses.
Within that circle, for sure.
It's a fair point. Yeah, it's a fair point. It's a good analogy.
That, like, and like everybody talks. You and I have both played Ballyowen. That's spectacular. I mean, that's
100%.
Yeah,
that's the best one they have.
No doubt. But then when you look at, like, the other properties that they have, the other courses, if Black Bear is supposed to be, quote unquote, like the 4th best or the 5th best or whatever number it is, you're doing something right, because it was really good. It was very challenging. I'll say it now. I'll say it again. Very, very challenging at times.
I do think I would say if you get the opportunity to go play, go play.
Yeah, absolutely. I had one negative about the Ledbetter / Black Bear experience, and it was the road leading up to the Ledbetter Academy.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair point. Yeah, fair point.
It really was. And I don't know if, like, I'm not trying to be nitpicky or anything, but that road is filled with massive potholes. And it was...
Yeah, I can't lie. I guess if you're going to find something... Yeah, if you're going to find something... That was the only
thing I had bad about the day. It really was.
That's a valid point. Yeah. I do think I would have thought that it would have been a little cleaner in terms of the paving aspect of it, but, like, yeah, I mean... okay, I can buy that, but I think once you got up there and you got through, you know, the dark gravel pits and the flat tires.
I wanted to bring that up because it is like Tom did a great job up there, and that facility at the Ledbetter, the driving range was enormous. They had, like, a members part up there,
a short game area.
The short game area, everything was top notch. You gotta spend a little money and get that repaved, because it was a tough ride up there. But everything else was first class up there. Speaking of first class, Mike, let's get into the resort itself. When you check in at the front gate, there's these. Before I get there, I was very confused at what's what up there, because it's like the Crystal Springs Village. So, like, some of the places are townhouses, some are condos, some are homes, and the hotel, you don't necessarily know exactly what's what until you've been there. So if anyone is, like, looking and they're like, where am I staying? You're staying right on property. They do have 2 hotels. There's the Grand Cascades,
right, which is where we stayed, and the Minerals Hotel. Those are the 2 spots. We were fortunate to stay at the Grand Cascades,
which is up the road a little bit. And I think that's the thing that can confuse some people, that even though it's all under the same umbrella of Crystal Springs Resort, the at Crystal Springs is the Grand Cascades Hotel, Wild Turkey, Crystal Springs Golf Course, and that's what's on the property. And I think there's a golf course called Cascades as well.
There's 3 golf courses on
property. And
Cascades being the 3rd one.
Yes. And then you have Black Bear and Ledbetter, which is like 5 to 10 minutes down the road. And then you have Ballyowen, which is 10 to 15 minutes down the road. And then you have Minerals Resort, which is 5 minutes down the road. So, like, it's spread out when you look at all the stuff that falls under the Crystal Springs Resort umbrella. But we're going to focus on the Grand Cascades Hotel right now. as like what's on like their main property there.
And don't forget about the 18-hole natural grass putting course that they have outside the Grand Cascades too. You know, that little spot there is a beautiful spot for people that are looking to hang out as the sun is setting. Just to especially if you're up there for a golf trip, it's another great little spot to go hang out at.
I can't tell you how many like small little places there were. Mike, we didn't go, but there was this little restaurant that was there. It's like farm to table. It's like hidden away, and I forget the name of it now. But it was. I'm gonna pull it up. But you're where they grow the food.
You have the Crystal Tavern where we ate. You have the Kites, but that's at the Minerals Hotel.
So this like little chef's garden is like in the middle of like these bushes that they're growing their tomatoes, their peppers, all this stuff is really cool. And then you got all the other, like it's got the al fresco. That's the word I was looking for. Al fresco dining. But then like the biosphere pool is awesome. It's got 2 different hot tubs, 2 pools. It's got a slide which I went down.
How about the water slide?
The water slide that I went down. I'm a grown man that went down a water slide for children. That was really cool. It's big. It's open. There's so much to do. You never are gonna feel like you're on top of people. It was top notch. We didn't go visit the spa. Mike and I didn't get matching facials or anything like that. But like the spa looked clean, top notch from all its reviews. It's awesome. I took a trip down to the wine cellar, and that was awesome. You go down like this secret staircase that's like a door in the wall, and you have this windy staircase that you take down, and you see these old bottles of wine. They have bottles of wine from the 1400s that are in there that are thousands of dollars, but like it's just a really cool cutout of like another thing that you can do. The hotel was clean. It was big. I love that it had vaulted ceilings, so it gives the room more space. We didn't happen to have a patio, Mike, but you saw some of them did, which again makes it even cooler. If you're able to have a cocktail out there, like while it's raining, and it's cool out, because it was in the mountains. It got a lot of that rain, but I took a picture leaving the next morning. I know you saw it as well. That like the clouds are just above like our level, but you could see like where they stopped and see the top of the mountain behind it and the sun rising over it. It was a beautiful picture, really like serene place. So this is us rambling on about how many different ways you could talk about this. It's really an impressive property. People tending to your needs. If you want anything, there was not lack of service or anything like that. The food was good. I had a nice old fashioned at one of the restaurants, and it was tasty. Just a really good, good experience.
I think that speaks to the customer service that Brian and I would. Well, I should say that Brian was sharing to me. I mean, the fact is, I had never met Brian in person, and to be able to experience this whole trip, really courtesy of him, like, is unbelievable. So, like, everything from like being out at the Ledbetter Academy to Black Bear to Crystal Springs, the Cascades, the food, everything was like one of those experiences that I said to Brian when we were done, like, I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to come back up here in the fall when the foliage is just like amazing. Get to go play some other different courses while we're up there, and so that maybe at the end of this, we could say, listen, we played all 6 golf courses while we were up there. It was an unbelievable experience. Like, and just spending the time that we did while we're there, like, this is a must spot. It's not only just for golfers. It's not just for like single, married men. Like, it is a family atmosphere. It's a family resort. There's so many things to do. So listen, if you're in that northwest corner of the state and you're trying to think about things to do, I'm telling you, go take a look at Crystal Springs. Go type in crystalgolfresort.com. Go check it out. They got some unbelievable things there, and I promise you'll leave there saying, wow, this mini trip in the state of New Jersey is one that we will never forget.
Mike, I think you make a good point, two good points there, that we never met Brian, and I just talked about how the surface was great, and having never met him and just DMing with him, that he's that's their thing. Like, he's exemplifying what their service is about. So that's incredible. You talked about how it's in New Jersey and it's this great resort. You don't have to go out to to Missouri, to Bandon, to Cabot Cliffs. If you want to go on a golf trip with the boys, or you want to have a just husbands and wives go, like, you could do any which way. Doesn't matter if you want to do a boys trip there and do a bunch of golf, you can do that. You can play Ballyeo and Wild Turkey, Black Bear, Crystal Springs. You could do 3 nights, 4 rounds of golf and have plenty of stuff to do. You can go with your family, like bring a whole bunch of family. The wives and kids will have stuff to do while the men are going to play golf, or if the women are playing golf, like there's stuff that they could do. There's nature trails to walk around. Like, there's so much stuff that you can do. If you want to do a getaway with like a husband and wife getaway, you could do that, to where, like, wife could get a little spa day, husband can go play some golf. Or again, I don't want to give like specific gender roles there, but like, if the wife plays golf too, like, you could do any of those combinations are doable, because it's such a versatile place. There's so much to do. There's something for everybody there.
Yeah, it was such an experience. And listen, I know we've said it. I can't thank everybody that we came across while we were there. Obviously, huge kudos to Brian and his team for getting us all set up and locked in. And I just seriously can't wait to get back up there. I can't.
100%. I mean, I know, Brian, thank you. I know you're the catalyst, but then, hopefully someone's listening to this that's in the PR department or whatever other department. Thank you for having us up there, for putting us up, for the hospitality that you guys gave us. It really was a special experience for us. So that was awesome. Thank you.
See you in the fall.
See you in the fall is right. That's going to be all for Mike and I today. Hope you enjoyed. Again, hope you got something out of it. And as we've said, big things are coming. This was one of those big things that was coming up. We got more in the till for you, so make sure you stick around and keep up with what we got going on. Get over to the YouTube page, the Drop Golf Podcast on YouTube. Check out our Instagram, the Drop_pod. Make sure you're keeping up with what we got going on, because we got some more good stuff coming up. Take care. Peace out, Cub Scouts.